Hi YouTube, this is a little update video on my Specialized BigHit FSR, a companion to the previous video, which was shot about 18 months ago, more or less on the 10-year anniversary of this frame and this bike. So I wanted to just update those who are interested in some of the changes that I've made in that time. Most of which are fairly small and insignificant, but some have been really huge. So I'll get straight at it. The biggest change, which is not really apparent if you sort of A/B the two shots of my bike between then and now, but I'm now running a 26 rear, which was exactly as the bike was intended to be. I actually never rode the bike with the 26 prior to this point. I had the 24-inch rear, and unsurprisingly it's made a huge difference to how the bike has ridden. I've had a good chance to ride it now a few times in a couple of different conditions, and on those tracks that I know well, there's no denying it's made a huge difference. So I've gone for the Halo T2, same rim combination as the front. Really lightweight but pretty tough, works really well. Never let me down, Halo stuff. It's pretty inexpensive, but it's just bomb-proof in my experience. I of course needed a matching tyre. I had some spares, but I decided to splash out on a newer High Roller 2, the update to the previous High Roller, which I was running for a long time. It's been great. We've been lucky to have a fairly dry few weeks in the UK here, so it's been ridden in mostly hard pack and loose conditions, but it's worked exceptionally well, yeah, I do not regret that one bit. 26 has made a pretty big difference to the overall balance of the bike. I've gained about an inch on the bottom bracket, up to around 15 inches. So a little bit more pedal clearance, steepened the head angle slightly, gone from about 63 to 66 degrees. So no real noticeable change once you're actually sat into the travel of the bike. It's still in its slack setting, it's still really planted, but overall there's just nothing hooking up that back end, which was something I was starting to notice more and more with the 24. I really had kind of got the most out of that, I think, and it was interesting to jump on the wheel size bandwagon, which is very popular at the moment. But yeah, here we are. So it's an old bike, but it's still not quite current, but I love it. And yeah, the 26 wheel is working really well for me, so there we go. The next change here, to my contacts, the pedals. These are the Burgtec Penthouse MK4s. They've made a massive difference. I was lucky to have a trip back home to Scotland. Did about a week's riding with these. I was running the Saint MX80s, which are in my previous video, which I loved. They worked really well, very solid. But these are just on another level altogether. Wider platform, much narrower, that Q factor as it's called, really brings you in, eliminates the sort of pedal strikes with really broad pedals, but they are just supremely comfortable, and of course have no shortage of grip. They are pretty savage. I run the Specialized 2FO flat pedal, absolutely excellent shoe. And yeah, as I said, pretty savage on the grip front. Never slipped them yet. Really don't want to experience that. These pins are pretty badass. But yeah, the Mark IV Penthouse pedal has been absolutely amazing. Really well worth it. I thought the difference was going to be fairly incremental, but that's been a huge difference. So they absolutely, in my view, justify their reputation. They've been fantastic. Small little detail, I don't know if this was present on the previous video, just some all mountain style frame protection on the underneath, partly cosmetic, but you know, it's something that helps. Has this kind of honeycomb PVC stuff that works really well. This is actually a camouflage. You cannot make it out because the frame is so dark, but it works pretty well. So coming to the front, a couple of changes here. The most obvious one being the fender. This is a Mudhugger FR front race fender. Again, quite a significant and surprising improvement. I had made my own, very similar to this one on the rear, for nothing out of some document folders. And I did mention in the previous video I wouldn't pay someone to do this, but turns out I lied. But this is a pretty different beast altogether. Obviously with the big front extension, but it works really, really well. Took me a while to get used to the look, but I'm kind of over that now, and I think it works really well. We're still very dry here in the UK, surprisingly at this time of year. We're mid-June now. Very rare to have super dry conditions, but I'm going to keep that on because the weather's so changeable, and I have used it in downpours and it's worked extremely well. It really stops the very worst getting up to your sort of goggle and eye line. Really, really good. Small cosmetic change on the 888s. Took off some of the silk graphic, the red M, the iconic Marzocchi M. Just got rid of that, just preferred to clean up the look a little bit. Yeah, that's about that. A bigger change with the fork has been the SKF seal. So you can see the turquoise sort of iconic colour of SKF for their motocross, motorbike and mountain bike range. These were done when the fork was serviced, and they really did come back better than new. It was a huge surprise to me. But Marzocchi forks, really, if anything can be said about them, it's their plushness out of the box. They're very, very plush, and they're really, that's a hallmark of their construction, and has been for a long time. So I wasn't expecting a huge improvement, but those seals, they appear to have really been well worth that small upgrade. The fork's very sensitive in its early part of the travel, and yeah, great, really quiet. So yeah, would not hesitate to recommend that at all. So they're the three main changes that have taken place in the last sort of 18 months. The forks, the seal, the mudguard, pedals, and of course the rear wheel, I beg your pardon, which is the most recent upgrade. Again, one I wish I'd done many years ago. A little minor detail on the brake levers and gear shifter paddles. I've put the grip tape, which is quite a common sort of World Cup racing tip, but really out of sheer boredom, I thought I'd try it, and it's made a pretty big difference. Works really well with or without gloves. Not too harsh on the fingers. Survives washing really well. It's pretty strong stuff, this, so I can thoroughly recommend that. It makes a bigger difference than you might imagine. So that's a little recap. I suppose the last change, running a Maxxis DHR2, the rear minion, but I'm running that on the front. That was a few months ago I decided to do that. I'd heard mixed reports of its success on the front. Is it a dry tyre? Does it work in a variety of conditions? But I can certainly vouch for it being a good all-rounder. Not a huge difference to the high roller that I was running originally, but the braking, certainly in the straight line, is massive. You know, I'm not one for, as they say, railing berms, but the corner knobs, same as the DHF, the front minion, but it works really well. It's not let me down. I've ridden it in a few different conditions since I've had that one, and it's been a star performer. So yeah, that probably rounds it up, those four things, I guess. But yeah, absolutely loving the bike. You know, it's the rear wheel and the balance that's given it. It's just further enhanced what I think is a worthy classic in a very confused landscape of bikes. So yeah, I hope some of you have enjoyed that little update. And yeah, any questions or whatever, yeah, mention them in the comments. Thanks very much.